Everybody is aware, right? I learned about it too. Now, here's the problem. I mean, I'm very sad for what happened, and may God bless the souls that left due to this accident. It's a very sad accident. And I study these things from a very open mind, not looking at the root cause of the problem, but how people react when these things happen. And what you see is that everyone in the nation is trying to find a culprit. Whose fault was it, right? The two guys who went for running? Or a bus? If I were you, I would think that, oh, it's so sad the road accident happened. How do I drive on the road? Do I park at the right place? Do I drive at the right speed? Do I respect the road etiquettes? But instead of saying this, what we're looking is finding someone else's fault, right? Now, when you psychologically study this, the problem is that it's always nice to look for someone else's fault. And it gives us a pleasure. It gives us a pleasure of talking. Yesterday, I was actually abroad. Last couple of days, I arrived yesterday. And so I was sitting at the gen lobby, and there was a table next to me. I will not tell what they were discussing, but it was all about complaining and blaming about the driver of the bus. And I was sitting there, and I was thinking like, God help us, our nation. Right? This is the problem, because we don't, the thing is, we don't know who we are. That's the reason why we talk about it. And what we have to do is, when such things happen, we should, look at, okay, that happened, really sorry, but what can I do as an individual person to make sure that I do my part so the same thing doesn't happen? That is the purpose of this conversation around knowing who you are. Because you have to know who you are in order to look for what conversations you're going to have. If you don't know who you are, anything will attract you, good or bad. And you will get into every conversation. That is a very big problem we have, and that is not a good quality of a growth mindset. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about that in a while. My second objective today is, in most of our offices here, or almost all of us, we always have this excuse of, we don't have enough resources, we don't have this, we need people, we need this, we need that, we need this. I mean, the list goes on, right? But we never had a look into this way, the power we have within us on changing our circumstances. We always look at someone else. So for example, if you're given an additional task, you always say, I don't have people, I don't have resources, I don't have money. When was the last time you had a look and say, what resources do I have and how I can use it? And that is the conversation we're going to have. And the third one is, what is a growth environment? Because a growth environment is created by you as leaders in your organization. It is not created by a poster that you put on the wall. You can put all the values of your organization on the wall. The wall will be very happy because you got a nice poster. But it has no values when people does not. I walk into an office where the elevator, they had all their values, and one of the values on the elevator said, smile. And it is a building with 9 floors. I went from ground floor to the 9th floor, and from ground floor up to 9th floor, there are a lot of employees who went up and down. I did not get a single smile from any employee. I look at the elevator and I said, smile. What's the problem, right? So this is what we're going to talk. And my hope is really to give you some tools which you can take and really work with your team to change this. And I want everybody here to see this way, that you are the hope that your organization have. No one else is going to come and fix your problem, by the way. Yeah. So turn to the person next to you and say, you are the hope we have. Tell them. Good. Yeah. Now, another thing is, in this conversation, you're going to have a learning partner, so make sure you talk to each other, right? And have a bit of good conversation, and a lot of learning can be done together. Now, also, it's good to share some good news, right? How many of you want one of these books? How many people want one of these books? Good. Well, these are 4 books we're going to give you today at the end of the session. So you had to be here until the end. And there's a good chance that you can win one of these books, and we'll give it to you. Yes. So give yourself a round of applause for that. Yeah. Very good. So the first topic is around the growth mindset, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this. About you. How unique you are. You see, if we look around this room here, every single one in this room is unique. There's no one like you in the world. And there will never be one like you. You agree with me? Yeah, if you agree, raise your hand. Yeah, of course, there won't be anyone like you, right? But the question is, how many of you know that, how unique you are? Good, I see some hands raising. Very good, very wonderful, wonderful. So if I ask you, what's unique about you, what would you tell me? Now let's have that conversation, not with me, with the person next to you. So not now, don't talk yet. Yeah. When I say go, you talk to the person next to you, and the question is, what is so unique about you? And when we talk about our uniqueness, it's not about a particular qualification we have, but it's who we are as a human being. For example, there's a value called respect. We know that. And we all like to get respect. And I would believe that all of you in this room here, you respect your colleagues, you respect your community, you respect your neighbor, you respect everybody that comes, talks to you. But there are times when we demand respect, but we're not able to give respect back. And we always have a story about it. So talk to each other, what's unique about you? And when you talk about your uniqueness, I'm talking about your strength. You know, when you do performance appraisals, you write the strength of your employees. And some of you can write that very easily. But how about your own strengths? So take a moment, tell to the person next to you 3 strengths of you as a human being, which can be used at your workplace, which can also be used at community level, which can be used at personal level, in personal relationships, right? Because your strengths are not just limited to workplace. It is who you are as a human being, as a person, right? So have this conversation, please, with each other. What are your strengths? Your uniqueness, who you are as a human being. Ready? This is a 2-minute conversation. Yeah, talk to the person next to you, please. If you're in a group of 3, talk to 3 of you together. Yeah. You're alone. You should join over here. Yeah, please. Maybe you could go here. Or you could sit over here. So, yeah. Hey, you had to keep me on track with the timing, huh? 30 minutes is over? So fast? Yeah. 1:30, right? Yeah, we have enough time because... Will you let me know when you reach to 2:30 we're supposed to finish, right? And the Q&A. So 1:40, what is the time right now? So let me know 1:45, yeah? Yeah. All right, let's continue the conversation. Now, there's a handout we have given to you. Please write in your handout on the section of strengths. See if you can write some of those points there. Because I really would like to see how well you can articulate this, how well you can get this, and how well you can write it. Because if you're able to think and share with someone, that is great. If you're able to write it down, that's even better. I'm not too sure when was the last time you actually wrote about your strengths on a piece of paper. So it'll be a good exercise for you to do, because your strengths is what really makes who you are, or what makes you unique. All right, come on back, everyone. Let's look at here now. Let's ask some of you here in this room about your strengths. So in order to make it easier for everyone, I'll ask for someone. Adam, what is one of your strengths? Grateful. So you are able to practice gratitude every day, right? Very good. Let's hear from maybe this side over here. So what's one of your strengths? Believing that you can do something. So if it's a project that we give you, yeah, never give up. Very good. Perseverance, good. You see, the reason why I asked us to look at this is this whole topic around growth mindset is something that is overrated. You talk about it all the time. It's the same thing like in the last 2 years you've been talking about resilience, creating a resilience mindset. And how do you create that? I mean, do you connect something and upgrade this? No. You can go to a class every single day for 8 hours a day for 1 month, and you can learn about resilience. But you will not have that resilience mindset, because resilience mindset is created by experiencing things, experiencing failures, experiencing setbacks, experiencing challenges. Yet we expect our people to be resilient mindset, or in that mindset after a 2-hour online session. And after the session, we don't make things even harder for them. We make things easier for them. Because there's something called flexibility approach. I'm not asking you to go and challenge your team so that they will leave tomorrow. Don't do that. Don't go and say that Afif has to try this methodology, What I'm asking you is that sometimes you have to look at it a little bit from different contexts and see how it really works. Now, there's another part called weakness, and you don't see the word here, and I don't like the word weakness. I like to use the word areas of development. For example, one of my strengths is I am able to connect with people quite easily. And I can have a very good conversation with anyone that can add value to them. I am not a very good expert in computer. I mean, I can put a presentation and the Microsoft Word and the things. I use an iPhone, but 95% of the features, I don't know how to use them. Because I didn't have to yet. I mean, right? Only 2 years ago, I learned how to use iCloud, and I'm happy with it. Right? We all have stories like that, right? Don't we? Right? And that's perfectly fine. But the problem is, you cannot say, Afif, one of your weaknesses, you're not a master in computing or computer technology. No. Your weakness is not like that. You cannot tell to someone that you know when you do your present, you tell them, by the way, your weakness is you're not able to coach and guide your people. And the question is, when was the last time he or she went through a coaching program or training? So there's always areas for development. So I like to reframe that as an area of development. Now, when you look at you as you are, what is one area of development that you believe that can help you in performing in your current job? I would like you to think of that. I mean, we are almost halfway through this year, 6 months remaining. You probably may have think a little bit about that. What is one area of development that you believe that you need in order to perform and do your job even better? What is one specific area? And a specific area is something that is very, it needs to be specific. For example, how to give feedback and receive feedback. That is a particular area that you need to improve on. Don't write communication, because communication is quite generic. So you could say the ability to listen without interrupting. So one of the area of development that I am currently working on is, when I am traveling, either for work or on private trips or leisure holiday, I do my best, and the last 1 year, probably 1.5 years, I've been doing that very well, not to reply my office emails. Because there was a time I used to think that if I don't reply, the world is going to fall apart. And when I checked that after 5 years, the world did not fall apart. It was exactly the same as I left it when one of my colleagues is at the back and he's laughing. So, and it is an intentional thing. So I was just in US for about 10 to 15 days. I did not reply to a single email, and I did not even check my inbox. So I told my team, if there's anything urgent, you need my attention, send me a WhatsApp message. I will check it when I wake up. And I will reply if needs to be. I cannot tell you how productive I was in the last 15 days. Unbelievable. And my mind and the work that I needed to do there was, it was at a different speed this time than before. That was an intentional action, an area of development. Right? And it's how you communicate with your team, how you manage the expectations. So everybody who reports to me and everyone that I report, they all know that I will reply when there's a moment, but they cannot expect a reply from me via email during that period of time. I set that expectation before I left. What about you? What's an area of development for you that you have been working on? Take a moment and write it down. Think about it. Because I wanted this session to be a session where you do a bit of thinking today, not just listening to me. So take a moment, I'll give you 2 minutes and see if you can share this with the person next to you, an area of development for you. Yeah. I don't want to leave all of you because you're at the back. Is everybody okay here? Good? Yeah, good. Good. And please share that with the person next to you. What is one area of your areas of development that you need? Welcome, Nancy. How are you? All right. Now, look at this here. If you look at the strengths and weakness that you wrote, you will find that some of these strengths are unique to you. You agree with me? Yeah? Some of you here, maybe you wrote problem solving. It is a skill. Some of you may have it, some of you may not have it. Some of you wrote here a skill able to negotiate. Some of you may have it, some of you may not have. Some of you wrote here a good coach or a mentor. Some of you may have it, some of you may not have it. The whole idea is to really make you understand your uniqueness lies in your strength. But what happens in a workplace? What happens in a workplace? We, as leaders, when was the last time that you went to someone and say, hey, I really like the way you spoke in that meeting. You are unbelievable. And you know what? I think we can use this skill in all over this office. And I really want you to work on that even further. But what we normally do is we go back and say, well, I didn't like how you spoke in that meeting. You need to improve on that. You get the best out of your people when you focus on their strengths, not on their weakness or areas of development. When you do your appraisals, whenever that happens, wouldn't it be nice that you have an Excel sheet where you have the name of your people, a column which says strengths, a column which says areas of development, and you prepare that before the appraisal so that when you conduct the appraisal, you know exactly what you're going to say. Because in most of the time in the appraisal, we write like this. You are an asset to the company. You have been performing very well. Nice. And that's what we have been writing for many years. I mean, we should be really, because when you have the strength list, right, you should be able to write down those unique qualities of that person. And here's another story about this. In most of your offices, I believe there are a lot of changes that comes once in a while. And some of the changes you have, you have control, some you don't have. And, that is a whole different story. But when you place people in certain different areas, it is very important to get the best out of them. It's important to look at their strengths and place them at the section or areas where their strengths will help to, take the organization to the next level. Most often we put people in place where they've never worked before. And we say, well, this is for your growth. And then we don't train them or guide them. And that's actually the worst case scenario. If you want to create a growth environment, you need to look at any changes that comes. You need to look at the strength of your people. And you need to take them and place them at the right spot so that they can perform. I'm sure all of you know what I'm talking here about. Because everyone is unique. So you can't expect someone who doesn't have the strength to go into a place and start, performing the way he or she used to be. Because it won't help that person. I mean, you look at these people over here. How many of you know this guy? Yeah, he's a football player, right? If you don't know him, you probably know him. You know him? Right? Yeah. What do you think is going to happen to the national football team if you put him as a goalkeeper? What's going to happen? Yeah, because some of you like him so much, you will say, oh, for sure, we're going to win. He's not a goalkeeper, right? Yeah, Shahid here is a sports commentator. Let's ask Shahid, what is going to happen if we take Dagade and put him as a goalkeeper? Do you think, what is the likely chance we are going to win the game? Just very low. He's this is one of his strengths, sports analytics, analysis, right, commentary, and that's an example of this. Because we do not need to be good in everything. Because there's no human being who is good in every single skill. Because we're always good at something, and we're probably not good in the other things. And that's perfectly fine, because that is the true uniqueness of us as a human being. That's why we need collaboration at workplace. That's why we need team synergy. That's why we need problem solving, coming together as a team. Otherwise, only one person can resolve the problems. And this goes into every single sport that you see around. This was a picture taken in 2019 in October, when Eliud Kipchoge was chosen by Nike to do this sub 2-hour marathon. Obviously, there's a lot of technology behind, but the world's best minds came together to make that happen. And I watched that event live, and I was saying to myself, unbelievable. Because he had the strength. Because years before to that event, he had the record of the marathon, but not in sub 2 hours. So they took him and said, well, let's see how we can experiment this. But there is no way that he can beat with the world's fastest runner in 100 kilometers. Sorry, in 100 meters. Because that is not his strength area. But in our workplace, most of the time, what we do is we place people at the wrong spot because that's what we like to do. And my recommendation to all of you is that look at the strengths of your people and focus on their strengths, because growth mindset happens when you look at the strengths of your people and place them at that particular area and help them to perform. Because in your team there are lots of people with many different strengths, and use them to the advantage of your team, not to the disadvantage of your team. What happens is when you place someone at the wrong spot, they don't perform, and it becomes a problem for your team. And then we put him in another place. We put him in another place. We put him in another place. And sometimes we promote him out of the organization too. That has happened, right? So we need to really look at that. And looking at this specific point over here, everyone in this room is replaceable. But I want you to know one thing, you're not replicable. No one can create one like you. And you're not replicable because of your strengths. You see, there are many speakers. There are speakers in this room too, right? We're all unique in what we do. There are many leaders in this room. We're all very unique in the way we lead. And this is one thing we have to understand. We can be replaceable. You know, my company tomorrow can replace me with someone else. But they won't find a mindset like me, because it's unique to me. And the same thing with all of you. And that is the comfort that you need to have at your workplace. You should not go to workplace feeling, or you people should not come to workplace feeling like, oh my God, you know, there's so many changes. When am I going to lose my job? Right? They should come to work feeling like, you know what, I am unique. I have these qualities. I always do my best. Therefore, I will always have a job wherever I am. One of the reasons why people come to work and they can't perform is that they have this fear of what is going to happen to them. Because their leaders never ever spoke to them about their strengths. So we have to encourage this at workplace, where we highlight the strengths of our people. And when it comes to, many of us know, performance as coaching or feedback, a lot of the time we are very much into giving this constructive feedback. Like, you know, if you give 5 constructive feedback, you give only 1 praise. That's the ratio you use. What if you revert this into 5 praises, or, you know, thank you messages versus 1 constructive feedback? When was the last time that you truly thank someone in your workplace for a strength that they have? Because, and you know, it's how you do it. You can just say thank you or good job. It has no meaning because you just said it because someone asked you to do it. But look at into the eyes of someone and say, hey, I saw what you did there with that person just now. That was a very good quality. I like the way how you spoke with him. I like the way how you escorted him out of the office. I like everything that you organized. Keep doing that. The person will do that even better for the next person who comes. The next person. This is how you create growth environment. Because that is a growth mindset feedback. But what happens is that our ratio is 5 negative feedback versus 1 positive feedback. Make a commitment today to change that into 5 positive feedback versus 1 constructive feedback or an area of improvement. Because if you do that, you will see a complete change in your people. Sometimes when you call one of your employees and say, please come to the office, their mind is always like, what is going to happen now? So I really encourage all of you to look at this, because this area, the strength is one thing that we need to focus as a growth mind. Because to create this growth environment in the office where people feel comfortable to work, it is a responsibility of us as leaders. And here's another conversation that I like to have with all of you here. In our performance appraisals, when it completes, we always say high potential, low potential, right? Yeah. I mean, you don't probably say this then. So my question is, in your organization, if you have high potential and low potential, what happens to the other people? They are no potential? This is like an appetite, We created this by ourselves and saying that you're high potential, you're low potential, no potential. I am talking based on data. There's a lot of research and data that is shown us that this whole conversation around high potential and low potential has no meaning in organizations, because everyone has potential. Everyone can grow. Everyone can perform if you provide them with the right environment for them to grow. You cannot look at the person in an appraisal and give them a rating and say, well, you're low potential. What do you mean low potential? I mean, you just stuck in there for the rest of your life? It's a choice you have. I mean, if someone tells you you are low potential or you have no potential, how would you feel? Come on, tell to the person next to you, how would you feel? If someone says to you, you are low potential, how would you feel? What will be the feeling like inside you? Come on, explain it to the person next to you. How would you feel? Right? So we're good with the time. Who is breaking the chairs there? All right, good. So with this, I like to move on to the second part of the session. I would really want us to look at how unique we are as human beings and how we can use the uniqueness among all of us to serve each other, because that is the starting point of a growth mindset. A growth mindset is someone who look at the strengths of other people and encourage them to do more of that so that the community becomes better. A growth mindset is not that you tell people, you got to learn this, you got to learn this, you got to learn this, you got to learn this. Right? Look at their strength. How you can make them even better is what we need at our workplace. So take a moment. What did you learn from that first part of the session? Talk to the person next to you. What did you learn from that first couple of slides, the first part of the session? A minute of conversation between you and your learning partner. Ready? Go. All right, come on back, everyone. Moving on. I like that you like to talk to the person next to you. I wish I can give you more time too. we should do more of this. So my next section that I like to focus is on this whole idea around the growth mindset. But most importantly, how this leads us to have a conversation around excellence. I believe that the growth mindset is an obsession that we have when it comes to whatever we do. Whether it is in sports or the work that we do, there's a saying that everything that we do represents who we are. It's a reflection because when people, I saw Ghazi School Principal Mariam here. I think I saw you here. Mariam, are you here? Very good. Well, I did a speech there, so that's how I know her. But anyhow, I told her this, that, when I go to school, when I see how clean the school compound is, how nicely the classrooms are set, how organized the school is, regardless of the resources you have, that represents the leadership of that school. You cannot say, well, we didn't have this resource. That's not the point here. So in fact, I went to her school. It was really nice. If you're another principal, I haven't been to your school, probably it's nice too. But I have been to schools where, I won't tell you this, but I went to a school in August 2019. There was a stack of furniture right inside the classroom, and I went to that school after 3 years. It's still there. Yeah. If you want to find out this school, go to my Facebook post in 2019. Just kidding. Don't do that. But you understand the point, right? Because that represents the leadership of that school. There's no other narrative around this. You cannot say, oh, well, we always love to tell us a story like this to ourselves, so we feel good. And the point here is to understand what we can learn from this. So here's a case study I'd like to share with all of you. This happened many years ago, 2009. This is a very famous gentleman. Many of you probably may have known. There's also a movie called Sully, Captain Sully Sullenberger, who was the pilot of the U.S. Airways at the time. And there was both the engines were out just in a couple of minutes after the takeoff from LaGuardia Airport, which is in New York. And he has to land his flight. There's nothing in the manual about landing it into water because both engines went out. And it was sort of a miracle to the aviation industry on exactly why he did that or how he could do that. So there's a lot of research behind that. And Harvard Business School did a research directly with him and asked him this question. How can you do that even though you had 30 years of experience with you in flying? It was not on the manual. But how could you do that, and how could you save all those people's lives? He said this: every day when I get into aircraft, into the cockpit, for 30 years every day, I always ask this question: what can I learn today from this flight experience? What can I learn today? Imagine doing the same job, right? Every day ask a question. Now revert this question into your workplace. What can I do today to make my workplace, my people, my community a better place? And I have a very good answer for you, by the way. Take all these slides, handouts, go and teach your people next 2 weeks. Because you see, what's the first thing, right? When you enter into an office, and the first thing, what is that mindset that you're bringing in? This is growth mindset. Are you coming to work because, I guess, someone asked you to do that, or because you get paid, but that's not the point here. This story is just unbelievable. And there are many other stories like this. Marshall Goldsmith said, what got us here won't get us there. And my version of it is that what got us here won't keep us here. We got to keep evolving ourselves every day. We got to keep learning. When was the last time you read something for the first time? When was the last time you learned something new for the first time? When was the last time? At least say today, now. Yeah, thank you. So keep looking at all of these things. And then there's another question. Is mindset everything? How many of you say yes? Is mindset everything? Very good. No, mindset is not everything. You can have the knowledge here, but if my good friend Robin Sharma says this, you need to have 4 things. Number 1, mindset. This is the entire thing around the psychology of how you operate. Number 2 is your heart set, the emotional state of you. Number 3 is the soul set. The health set. You got to look after yourself. Health is the most important thing. And the other one is the soul set. Connect with your Creator every single day. Not on the days that you choose, like Friday. Every day. Right? People ask me all the time, what's the best solution for time management? There's no solution. Have things in your schedule that you don't trade off, like 5 times prayer. That is on the spiritual side, or running, or fitness, or not here talking about the diet, but eat whatever you like. Right? So look at the heart set. How many of us have these grudges against other people? Someone said something to us 20 years ago, and we're still carrying that with us. But that person already passed away. And that is the problem we have. So mindset is not everything. That's the reason why sometimes we learn, we study, we get graduates, we get certificates, we got all these credentials, and we believe we have something to offer to the world, yet we're not able to offer it to the world because the other 3 quadrants got a problem. I wish I can develop this for you. We'll do another session one day, hopefully if time gives. This is some fantastic stuff here. Because mindset, you can learn about, that's why I said growth mindset is one of the most overrated topics in the world. Because mindset is not everything. You got to have those 4 things. Imagine you have all the knowledge you have and you're not healthy to deliver it, to speak to people, to contribute. What is your use to the community? And then you have mindset, heart set, but you are not able to connect with your Creator. You're not able to spend time for your soul. What's the value you have? If you have 24 hours in a day and you don't have 7 minutes to get into the mosque to pray, whether you like it or not, we have a serious problem. And that is the reason why we need to understand this whole mindset thing. Because growth mindset is not, you cannot choose, okay, Friday I'm going to spend time on soul set Friday. Saturday, health set. Heart set on Sunday during coffee time. Mindset the rest of the week. Right? It doesn't work like that. Yeah? And I'm happy to share reading around this so you'll be interested to learn about this, right? What's your key learning point from that 4 quadrants I just showed you? Have a conversation with the mindset. What did you learn from that, please? Have a conversation with each other. In fact, look at this one and talk to your partner. Look at this one. And how good are you in 4 of these? Do you see room for improvement for you? So 2, 4, 35, 40, then we are open for questions. Yeah? Okay. You take. No, it's okay. I think it's quite hot here. They forgot on the AC, like last time we did. A little bit, yeah. I think because of the light, but that's okay. All right, let's move on. Now, the next one I like to talk to all of you is about this. Resources versus resourcefulness. What's the difference between this? How many of you are from civil service? Raise your hand. From SOEs? Yeah. From private? Yeah. How many of you are here because someone invited you to be here? Very good, thank you. Is there a company in the world that have all the resources that they need? No. Yeah. Now, this is a conversation, and my objective is to see whether we can reframe this in a different way. Resources are things that if we have them, it's always nice. Like more money, better technology, people with great skills, great working space, wonderful places to park, amazing 5-kilometer, running tracks. Wonderful. Because the more you give, the more you want. That's how it is. It will be. But the resourcefulness is something different. And this actually links with the other conversation I had with you earlier. So let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say over here. Look at this here. Resources are things that you can measure, that you can use them, that you can, the resources gets depleted, maybe you can put more, you can find alternatives to that. But resourcefulness is something that is within us as human beings. So if you take, for example, 20 of your employees in your organization or in a team that works with you, you look at all those things, from passion to collaboration to dedication. Take the dedication. The dedication of 20 employees, you cannot put a value onto it. These are priceless things, things you can't see. But when people put these qualities right in front, they win the world. So resourcefulness is the ability that we have within ourselves to identify who we are, what's our strength, how we can use them, instead of asking for more and more and more and complain. Because you're not the only one in the world, by the way. In the last 3 years, many companies have suffered this across the world. In the last 3 years, I've been, during the pandemic, twice I went and just came from New York. And we're talking about the world's, one of the most vibrant city people think is the best in the world. Not that I think it, but I think it's the world's business center. But in most of the hotels in New York City, they are not able to find the people to serve. So even in some of the best 5-star hotels in New York, they, prior to the pandemic, you have people who take your luggage to the room, and now they don't have. There's no room service. Restaurants are closed because they don't have people. One of the largest coffee chain in the world is Starbucks. Starbucks now opens in some places in the US at 6 in the morning, and they close at 3 because there's no people for the next shift. Not that they don't have money to pay, by the way. Just there's a lack of resources because people realize that they don't want to work in the hotel industry, so they went to other areas. So everybody's suffering. But these places where they struggle, they look at all of these things over here. Because, whenever there's a problem in your team, or whenever there's something that you struggle, look at this. You actually didn't know. This is how you got through pandemic, by the way. This one over here. Make sense to you? Yeah. You remember the day we went into lockdown, you were like, oh my God, the world is ending now. You survived, right? Because of this. You just didn't know that. You went an extra step came up with the dedication to survive through, and he was struggling the first 2 weeks, and the week after was okay, and the week after was fine, and now you're good. And even if tomorrow you go for a lockdown, you go like, ta-da. Because you are now used to it. Yet when we were back to workplace, we talk about this all the time. I'm not asking you not to talk about this. Good leadership is look at the opportunities you have and how you can get on with it instead of just waiting. You say we will wait until we get this. But you have this within your team. Look at this. Right? Here's a case study I'd like to share with all of you. Look at this photo. What's wrong in this photo? Sorry? This is a picture I took March 3 this year. What's the problem with the photo? The G is missing. I show you this photo to give you an example of the resourcefulness story I'm talking about, right? What do you think you need to fix this one here? What do you think you need? You think it's lack of money? No. Someone needs to see this and fix it. So I had the opportunity to ask from someone why it was not done. He had the best story in the world for me. Thinking that I will empathize with him, which I did not. And you think this is the only problem in the Maldives? No way! Look at New York. They have the same problem. This is a photo I took just last week. This is one of the best hotels in the downtown New York. It used to be called the Hilton, the Millennium Hilton. So Hilton sold the hotel, and the Millennium Group bought the hotel. And now that it used to have a Hilton, they remove it and they haven't put it yet. So I asked the hotel general manager, what happened to this? Oh, we're waiting for the supplier to send it. And the hotel is always full, 100% occupancy. So it's not a problem with the money, right? It is definitely a problem with the leadership. Because I always say in this. I actually told him this, and I made a joke about him this time, and he was laughing at it. Obviously, he knows what I'm saying is right, but he don't have any better answer to me. Interesting, right? So if you felt bad about this, don't feel bad. The best in the world also have problems. We're talking about a common problem, right? But what I encouraged all of you is to rise this challenge of how resourceful you can be. Helping other people is a resourcefulness. Contributing to other people is a resourcefulness. If you know a knowledge, share with other people. It's resourcefulness. Don't hold it to yourself. I admire people who share what they know. Don't wait for someone to ask and say, hey, I know this one. I can help you with it. Don't just always look at for what is in it for you. Rather look at, when you contribute, how the change of the environment that you can create. Here's another case study I like to share. I love this case study. Wonderful case study. This is from Japan, and I don't know if some of you have seen this or heard this. There's a very interesting train cleaning service in Japan where it only takes to clean 7 minutes. The bullet train service in Japan, one of the world's best. There's a lot of case studies around it. The interesting thing was that in 2010, early 2010, they had a very big problem because this is how it used to be in the uniforms and everything. They had a very big problem in the company where over 1,000 employees who comes to work to clean the trains struggles to perform. So there were problem at work. Trains were not clean. But Japanese are known for cleanliness, striving for excellence, the Kaizen method, all of these things. So the company hired a new CEO called Yabe-san in Japanese. And he was asked to fix the problem. But the company board said, well, we don't have any money for you to resolve this problem, but you need to turn this around. So he went and looked at all the resourceful ideas he can find within the team. He looked at the strengths of the people, and then he created a wonderful activity around this, whereby starting to change the way how people see the work. Because before it used to be cleaning, he reframed the entire thing as, we are not cleaners, we are hospitality service providers. Oh, it's nice now. Right? Cleaners, you clean. Hospitality, right? Yeah. So the whole mindset was immediately changed. That's number one. Number two, I mean, look at this previous uniform, right? So this is actually the uniform they used to have. It looks like cleaning uniform. This is the new uniform. Doesn't it look nice, right? This is exactly the same uniform they use in the Japan, in the Disney in Japan, the Disney World in Japan, right? So all of these things, and there's another interesting thing he did. He even changed the uniform now like this, right? It's like the Hawaiian beach uniform, right? So everyone comes to work like this. When the train arrives, they all line up there and they bow, and everybody gets off the train. You go there, you clean the train. When it's completed, and they go in. The motivation of the people went up. And initially when they started this, when they started the cleaning service, the average workforce was about 40 to 50 years old. The current workforce average age is 27 to 40 years. Very young. An example of a leader who helped people to understand the resourcefulness, or how resourceful they can be in the company. Helping them to, by changing the entire spectrum of a cleaning service, from train cleaning service to hospitality. You want to improve the service in your office? I mean, that's another session. We need to talk a lot about that. We need to help our people to understand that it's not just a job that they have. It's much more than that. Unless you can help your people to understand this right from the heart, it won't change. But you can do that, by the way. You got to have your people understand that I come to office. I mean, imagine if I work, for example, at, let's take a ministry, maybe transport. I didn't choose transport for any reason. Just came to my mind because Zuhair is here, is my friend. So, I come to work. I don't see my job as a job. If someone asks me, what's your job? I work in a workforce of 24,000 people that serves the entire nation. Did you ever have a civil service employee who said like that? No, imagine if they say like that, right? It's the pride, right? And this is what we need to help our people. And you will say, well, it can't be done. No, it can be done. It's a transformation that we need, but it can be done. And until the day you will struggle with service, and struggling with services in civil service is not an issue. It is everywhere. But it is a fundamental mindset that we need to change. And the fundamental mindset starts with us looking at things differently. Not just resources, but how resourceful our people can be. So what's your learning point on this topic? Talk to the person next to you. What did you learn from this example, the stories on resources versus resourcefulness? All right, coming back, everyone. We're into the last part of our session. We're going to be looking at what is a growth environment. So the first part, I was talking to all of you about how unique you are and who you are. The second part is about how we need to see the strength in our team. And if you look at the strength in our team, it is a resourceful objective that you have available within your team. So we have to look at it that way. And the best transformation that have happened around the world, whether it's a nation, I mean, many of us here probably link with this, and if you ever go to Singapore, you always get inspired. And I'm not surprised with Singapore as a country it is today, because when I studied about the Singapore story 32 years ago, there was nothing in that country. Late Lee Kuan Yew was left with people, only people who are not even friendly, by the way, but pragmatic and thoughtful. He created the transformation experience using the people only. So I certainly won't buy into the idea that we can't do it. We can. And the best transformation of companies that have happened in the world are all related to one thing. It's the people. It's not the technology, because you can bring the best technology into your company. What if people don't use them? What if people don't buy into that? Or what if, I know a company worth of $1 million a year ago that they wanted to have a transformation in their finance department. So they bought a very expensive software. And they brought a team, they spent a lot of money. And it's not in the Maldives, by the way. It's a company that I did a bit of consultation. So after a few months, the finance department stopped using it. So when I asked them what happened, they said it was not user-friendly. And you know what happened? They went back into the old system. Unbelievable, right? And that has nothing to do with the software, because it was one of the best software. And you know the name of the software? Yeah, it was brought by Oracle. But the people said, we are much more happier with the previous one, right? And what went wrong there was, I think the company did not involve the people who need to deliver this experience to their clients using the software. Instead, they said, I found something, do it. And they were like, oh, what is it? So they didn't buy into it. And the company invested a lot of money, and obviously the return on investment was nothing. So let's look at this. And on your handout, the last page, there's 10 points, 1 to 10. So every time I'm going to show you a quality of a growth environment, I would like you to write it down so you can take it with you. You can share this with your team. Because everything rises and falls on leadership. And if you have been to any of my sessions before, you know I talk a lot about this. I totally believe in this. Everything that happens in your workplace, how good or bad, when it's good, take credit. When it's not good, take the heat too, right? Take the responsibility to turn that around. Because everything rises and falls within the growth environment that you have. And what I'd like to share with you is 10 qualities of a growth environment. As I share this, I would like you to evaluate your own office and see if you have them. You ready? Yeah? Because a growth environment is a place where there are lots of qualities. And if you don't have them, it is challenging to do that. And I will come back to this story just in a moment, but before I do that, number one is you are continually challenged in a growth environment. Write that down. You are continually challenged in a growth environment. A growth environment is a place where challenge in the sense, challenge to serve people better, challenge to make things happen, challenge to rise to the occasion, challenge to do even better. For example, I understand there are several service charter planes that have been drawn up, and a lot of effort has been put through by civil service training team, the president's office training development division. How you can implement this specific point is how much are you challenging your team to live by them every single day. When was the last time that in a weekly meeting that you took those and spoke about it? Number 2, a growth environment is a place where your focus is forward, not backward. You are looking at what can we learn from this challenge, this mistake, and how we can move forward. That's the reason why, for example, a lot of people ask me this question, is COVID over? Or when can we go back to normal? Don't ask that question. Ask what can we learn and move forward. I mean, you don't want to go backward, right? Who wants to go back to March 2020? Nobody, right? I mean, physically you don't want. But at workplace, you want to go back to that. I used to be okay before. Right? This is the mindset. So growth environment is where you always look at forward. And growth environment is where the work that you do and the place where you work, the atmosphere is affirming for you to thrive. A place where your people appreciate you. A place where you come to work every day feeling like, I love this place. I love my team. I'm here because of my people. I love my boss. I love my supervisor. Wouldn't the workplace be nicer if people come to work and say, Zuhair, I come to work for you. How would you feel? Of course you will feel like, ta-da. I mean, you know, and that's the thing. Yeah, there's a lot of new research that have come up which says that people actually don't care for the company they work for, but they care for the leader that they work for. That's why people come to work. Sometimes we think people come to work because of the board outside the road. No. People associate themselves with a human being and say, I go to work there because of this leader. And I know some of you here like, yeah, I know people like that. There are a lot of people in my team, they are here because of me. Right? Number 4, you are often out of your comfort zone because your leader tasks you with activities that helps you to do better than what you did yesterday. They, give you feedback. They ask you what are the things that you can do better or how you can perform or what are the activities that you can do. A couple of years ago, I remember that I prepared a presentation for an international audience speech and the organizer asked me to send the presentation. So I send it, they send it back to me and saying, Afif, is this your best work? I said, what do you mean, my best work? Of course, I put my heart into this presentation. So anyhow, I changed the presentation. I sent it back. The organizer replied and said, dear Afif, is this your best work? I said, what's wrong? Right? I made some changes again. And then this time when I reply, I said, dear Paul is the name of the organizer. Dear Paul, I believe this is my best work. And he replied, if you believe this is your best work, you are up for the conference. So when I met him, I asked him, what was that about? He said, well, I know you can do better because the first presentation you sent me was not the best work of you. I know that. Hence, I challenge you because the third one that you sent is wonderful. Amazing, right? The mindset around it. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. Because you challenge, when you talk about challenging our people, that is how we challenge our people. It's not putting them down. It's asking them the right question and say, hey, do you think, is this the best you can do here? What do you think you can do better? Have that kind of a conversation. And number 5 is you wake up excited to go to work and serve people. You get into your office and you have this mindset, I'm glad I'm here today. When you love what you do and when you find love in what you're doing, that's what happens. And you can do that, but it's a lot of work to create that culture and the mindset. It's not anything. You can't do that with one session. I'm glad that we're continuing this program since December 27th of December. We launched the program in 2021. This is the sixth session. Hence, I encourage all of you, please, 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 take this to your team. I believe in the president of his website, you have those recordings of them. Take it. Imagine you have resources right there. It's in the president of his website, right? Yeah. So, take your team and say, hey, look, we're going to spend 1 hour today on this video learning. So you put the video up there. Give everybody a piece of paper. Yeah, maybe order some sandwiches because everybody likes food, right? So, and or some coffee. Don't tell me you don't have budget for that. Even if you spend from your own pocket, never mind. But do that and tell the team to watch this video, take notes. At the end, ask them, what did you learn from it? Right? How can we apply this in our office environment? What can we do? This is the purpose of this program, to enrich you so that you can go and enhance the workplace, not by keeping the knowledge with you, but by giving it to other people. Make sense? Ask the person next to you, does it make sense? Yeah. Number 6, failure is not your enemy. We all make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. No policy is 100% perfect policy. Things will change. But the idea around this is that we don't take it in a way that we believe that's the end of the world. No. We have to learn from things and see how best we can do it moving forward. Sometimes you put a new policy, it may not work. Go back and review it again. Go back and review it again. And don't take those things personal. These are qualities that you need to have in your workplace where people are able to make mistakes. They can make mistakes. There are many companies in the world where employees make mistakes and they don't tell their people. In our company, when we don't get guest complaints, I get really concerned. Because there's no way you don't get complaints from your customers. Either one thing, either they complain and your employees put that away, or no news is a good news. 100% perfect, but there's no 100% perfect guest experience. So we have to look at this, how we can encourage our people to voluntarily come and say, look, I made a mistake. And I always tell this to my team. The best people are the people, when they make a mistake, they come and say, look, I messed this up. I never get angry when my team comes and tell me I made a mistake, here's what happened. I probably take a deep breath like this, right? And then help them to make sure that they don't make the same mistake, but they do the same thing again, and then you take it on. But I suppose if you follow the right thing, they won't do it 3 times. If they do it more than 3 times, then there's a different conversation. Right? So I'm not asking you to let them make 10 mistakes every day. It's the same mistakes. Others are growing. A growth environment is a place where others are growing with you. That's the reason why you have to share this with your team. Please don't keep this with you. Take this, share this with your team, teach them, because you can teach this to your team. You don't need me to come and do that for your team. You can do that because you have the right mindset, the right experience within you to deliver this content to your team. You agree? Ask the person next to you, can you deliver this to your team? Ask the person. Good. Number 8, people desire change. People desire change. How many of you like change? How many of you like change or changes at workplace? Good. How many of you fear change? You see, research shows everyone likes changes. Otherwise, you wouldn't be like this. Imagine if we are all like babies here. It's going to be fun, right? Because when we were born, right, small baby, and we grew up and we're all adults now here. The problem with change is the unknown. The fear is the unknown part, where our people ask this question, what is going to happen because of this change? That's the problem we have. It is not the change itself. So you have to find a way to make sure that your people know why we are doing the changes, what is in it for them, what is in it for the company, and all of those things. Change management or the topic is a whole different thing, but just give you a little bit of insight into it, that the biggest problem is people fear change because of the unknown. They don't know what is going to happen, right? That's the reason why sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Number 9 is others are ahead of you. You got to have people better than you in your team, and it's perfectly fine. You should not feel vulnerable because of that. You should not feel insecure because of that, because the best place are people where you have people who are better than you in your team. I made this presentation, so I asked one of my colleagues who is 3-4 levels junior to me to come here today to check the presentation before I deliver it, and he came and did it today. He's actually sitting at the back, Atif here. So I asked Atif, can you look at, because he knows me, he knows my delivery, he knows what I'm going to say. So I asked him, I need you to check this for me. And this is what we need to, because my team's strength is not because of who I am. My team's strength is I have people who are good at other things which I am not good at. So when someone comes into your office who may have a higher profile than you, whether it is a political appointee or whether it is a government elected official, whatever, instead of judging, look at how can I work with this person? How can I have a conversation? But the problem is that before he or she comes, you already have a conversation around. Now, some of you may say, well, it's nice to say, but in Modis, it doesn't work like that. You see, someone even said yes. That's the conversation we need to have even before such things happen, because these are all change management techniques, right? I don't fear when some people appoint who are much better than me. I take a deep breath and I say, how can I work with this person? And it has happened in my career many times. And the result has been fantastic, because you got to have people better than you in your organization. Otherwise, your organization will always be at your standard. And your standard is not the best standard. Don't think that your standard is the best standard. No. Others can even have a better view. And last one is growth is modeled and expected. You live by this. You come to these sessions. You share these things with the team. You guide them. You send them for the session. Next time when you come to these sessions, bring your coordinators or executives that probably didn't attend these sessions. Wouldn't it be nice that you come to the next session, whenever the next session is, you say, hey, well, today we have this session. Could you please could you please come with me? Right? So these 10 qualities is what I call as the growth qualities of a growth environment. Have a conversation with the person next to you on these 10 points. Quickly, a 1-minute conversation. Okay, good. So, what time are we finishing? 3. Yeah. So 5 minutes and then I'm done, yeah? Perfect. Yeah. No, but so when I finish,
No, not me.
all right. Hey, did you like those 10 points? Yeah. And now I want you to have a look at those 10 points. If I were to ask you to give a rating between 1 to 10, how would you rate the growth environment in your office under your leadership at the moment? Between 1 to 10. Come on, do a self-rating of this. Take a moment. What is the rating that you will give, considering all of those points? And please don't tell me 10. And my hope is that when you go back to your offices, I know that some of your colleagues are probably on holiday, considering the period now. Maybe that's why some of them couldn't even come here today, to really take this and do this exercise with your team. And when you look at those things, it is a mindset that you have to create, because the growth environment is a culture that you create by practicing those 10 points over here. And my last couple of slides, which I really would like to share with you, is something I've shared on 27th of December when we launched this program. Something I believe in, something I really would like to all of us to live around here, because none of this will help us, right? When things go wrong, we always look who is there to blame, because it's nice to do that. You feel good about it, saying it's not me, someone else. Or feel a bit ashamed about it, or the excuses. Nothing is going to change at your workplace unless you can personally commit to take responsibility for everything that happens at your workplace, to your people, to the resources that are given to you. And you don't have to wait for someone in your senior level to tell this to you. If there's one thing that I would attribute to who I am today and with the work I do, is the top one there: take personal responsibility. No one asked me to study, no one asked me to do these things. I take responsibility because I see how I can add value. I know that it will come back to me one way or the other. So you can take personal responsibility by taking these slides, these notes, and sharing it with the team. And even taking a moment with this handout later to reflect those learnings. Because great workplace and culture is created not just by one person. If you want to, for example, send someone up into this mountain, can we do it by one person? No, you need a team behind, right? You need a team on the ground too. You need a lot of expertise. That's the reason, that's why this is how growth environment work. To deliver the service your offices deliver to the citizens of these countries, everyone needs to be aligned. And there's no job which you think is more important or less important. Everyone, you have one mission: to serve the people. But I doubt whether that mission is aligned with everyone. Hence the reason why we do these sessions. Here's another example of this. Many of you watch this, or if you don't, this is how critical it is. You don't need 5 of them to mess it up. One person forgets to do what he or she's supposed to do. Matter of seconds, you lose the race. So everybody needs to be aligned in a growth environment where they know, what am I supposed to do, how am I going to do that, whose support I have. That's what happens in the best teams in the world. Whether it is a civil service or a private public, everything, by the way, operates in the same way. We're talking about leadership here. And you can read hundreds of leadership books. Everything goes into one. Take personal responsibility. Take a deep breath, everyone. Oh, that was a bit... we're ending the session as well. What did you learn from the last part of the session? Or what was one key takeaway for you that you thought that was great? I'm going to teach that to my... Have a conversation, 1-minute conversation with your partner. This is the last conversation, so have a conversation with your partner, please. Did you guys here at the back had a good session? Yeah? Okay. Do I do the Q&A? And yeah. All right, so with this, I like to end our session for today. And I really hope that you found this helpful. Feel free to ask any question around this. If you like to connect me with on LinkedIn, you'll find me very easily. And I'll be happy to guide you on question that you have. But really, my hope and my prayer for all of you today is that you will take these lessons and share with your team. And when you share this with your team, you will see the change. Because you cannot change your workplace just by yourself. You need the people in your place to do that. Because you think that you can change everything, that's the wrong thinking. So go back, look at the videos. I think they will also upload this recording, and they will share with the team. Now, let's see if you have any questions that you have, or what questions you would like to ask me. Mariam, yes? You want to ask a question?
My question is that sometimes what you have taught, and we have to take to offices, right? And we have doubt in us that whether the person who we are telling will believe us. So what do you think that person should really do first thing? Before? No. I mean, every single person here has learned something from you, right? So I think what I've known from many people, they actually go and tell the people they really don't believe in what they're telling. So in that case, what is the advice would you give to that person?
Yeah. Good question. So you learn something and you go back to the office and you believe. Like if you tell them something, they won't believe you, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. Now, the question is, there are two sides of this question. The first side of the question is that you believe, but there's no data and evidence to support it, because you have that belief that, you know what, I'm going to tell this to them, but they won't believe me. Right? Because you said the story to yourself already before. Now, the other side of the story is that you go with this courage and the confidence that, look, I believe that was a wonderful message, so I'm going to share that with my team. So maybe the first time when you do it, there will be a bit of mixed reaction from your team. Some of them will, okay, that's nice. Some of you are like, okay. But the more you keep doing it, the more that will start changing the way that even how you feel, or even, you know, the team feels about it. So a lot of the time, I think, Mariam, and to the audience, we hold things to ourselves because we think that, oh, I'm going to tell this, you know, they're going to think that I know more. They're going to think that this is great stuff for him. We tell all these stories to ourselves. And sometimes I used to think the same way, by the way. But I know that when I shared it, it completely changes the spectrum of how people perceive it. But also there's another thing is you can't change that way or the feeling just by doing one session in a year. Many of us, we try to think to create a learning organization, and we bring somebody outside to do one training in a year, thinking it is going to change the world. It won't. You have to have repeated activities, which is, I think, what we're doing. I mean, trust me, this is a wonderful program. What other resources we need? This is a wonderful program. I mean, there's 6 videos, including mine, it will be, I think, 6. So, you have to share this with the team. The problem is we don't. So we feel like we don't have enough resources. Right? So I think there's two sides in it. But my take on that will be, I wouldn't wait until I feel good about it. I would just go out and share with the people, and I will see how they react. And if there's somebody who doesn't connect, I would have a separate conversation with them, and they may have a true story, because there was a time when I did a session like that with my team, and somebody in my team didn't react positively. So I actually asked him what happened, and he said to me that what you spoke didn't connect with me because I didn't understand exactly how I can take that to my workplace. So I had a separate conversation with him, and thereafter it was quite good. Yeah, good question, Marian. Thank you. Anything else? Any other question? You have one question. There's a mic at the back. Yeah.
Thank you. I am Nasir.
Yes.
I think it's very easy for us to talk about the good days. My question is, when you are having a really bad day, like you're not productive, you have a lot of stress, you're depressed, and and your workforce is not very productive, how do you do on such a day?
What do you mean? How me?
How you, yeah. I mean,
You mean?
a
me?
few, yeah.
I'm like you. I have good days and bad days. But I think one thing that I'm very fortunate is that I am able to look after myself in a way that I know exactly when my energy will be low and how to bring my energy back into that level. Because I have a fundamental belief that I have a very big responsibility to look after my people, and I can't look after my people if I'm not looking after myself. So every time I feel down, I would reset myself. So sometimes, I would, sleep. Sometimes I would take a little break from work. Sometimes I'm a little bit away from the social media. Sometimes I'm away from my mobile phone. There are a lot of tech things I do, and I think what works for me may not work for many of you because we are all unique in our sense. But what's important is I think my inner purpose is always there. And I know that people count on me. So I can't show up to work feeling miserable because people are looking for me to guide them and show them the way. And I cannot afford to, I can afford to make a mistake on a speech that I do, but I can't afford to make a mistake to put someone down. So I think that purpose is always there, so I know when to slow down, when to relax. Sometimes we think that doing nothing is waste of time. No, doing nothing is joy. Right? Taking time for yourself. So there are a couple of things daily I do, of course, reflection. So I would, after today's training, I would sit down somewhere and I would reflect and say, what did I do well? Did this connect with the audience? I'm always grateful. So all these different things that you do, I think, helps you to keep on doing it. Because there's no one formula for that. It works different with different people. So I think you will have to find what really works well for you and see how you can maintain your energy. And what's really important to know is that you have a very big responsibility. People come to work for you, and you will be questioned about your leadership. And you know what I'm talking about. On that day, you do not have an excuse to say, I woke up and it was raining, that's why I was moody and I raised my voice to the employee. Think about that. That's the purpose I have. So when that purpose is stronger than anything, I suppose the performance will be good most of the time. Right? Thank you. Any other, maybe one last question? Was he saying one last question? Is it okay? Maybe we want to take one more question? Okay, we take one question and then we end the session. Yeah. You have a mic, right? Not me.
Yeah.
That was the mic. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Do you have any advice on a strategy to manage fear, whether it's in the workplace or in personal life? I think that's
Manage what?
fear. I think
Fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that it's something that stops you from achieving organizational goals as well as personal goals.
Yeah. Very good question. How many of you can come to the front here and speak using this microphone without fear? Without fear. Like if I ask you and say, you have 2 minutes to make a speech here, how many of you would do that? Right? Why the rest of you? Why you didn't raise your hand? Yes, because you just said to yourself, I fear of doing it. Why? Because the first thing is you're going to ask, you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to go there and I'm going to talk. So what are they going to think of me? What will they say? They're not going to believe. And all these things, and we say this to ourselves. By the time of those 10 reasons, our mind said, yes, don't do it. It's going to be a dead end for you. Right? You see, some of you have seen you, some of you I know. I came here very much early. Did you notice what I did when all of you came in? I greeted all of you, almost all of you, right? You noticed that, right? Yeah. Some of you didn't notice that because you were on the phone. But I did greet most of you here. That's why I wasn't sitting here. I was there. I do this all the time. You know why? Because it's the easiest way to let your people know that I'm just like you. Right? I just prepared for the session. So I think the purpose of the fear for not just speaking but anything is that because we fear that, we don't try to learn it. So we have to learn that. We have to explore it. We have to practice it. There's no such thing as one thing we cannot do if we give the time and effort to doing that. A lot of the time we say, well, I fear this, so I'm not going to do that. Well, did you ever try that or practice that? It's Vasi, I know you were a little bit tired. It's the same thing like I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine. We went for a coffee around 9 o'clock in the evening. And I ordered a coffee. And he said, you can have coffee at this hour? I said, yeah, I can have a coffee at 12 and I will sleep like a baby. I said, you know what, Afif, I can't have a coffee at this hour and I cannot even sleep. I said, why do you say that? Did you ever had a coffee at 9 o'clock in the evening in your life? He said, no, I never had a coffee. True story. And then he said, so why are you saying this to yourself? No, because my friend told me that. That's your answer to fear. Because a lot of fears are like that. You agree with me? Yeah. Like give me a round of applause, please. Thank you. Vasi, sorry for taking your time, but I really enjoyed this audience, and I'm grateful to the president of his team, the Civil Service Training Institute team, especially to Vasi and Didi for guiding me on doing this program, and the rest of the team who are putting this together. Please put your hands together also for the TV crew for recording it. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. So they will make sure the editing is wonderful. And where's the photographer? Where is the photographer? We should take a nice photo together. Do we have 10 seconds for a nice photo? Come over here. Let's give the photographer also a round of applause so he'll be happier. Very good. Where do you, which office? Okay, very good. Yeah. So let's take a photo over here. We should take a nice photo. Did you take a photo like this last time? Maybe no. Yeah, oh, wait. Oh, you mean with me?
Yes, you were over there, and then we were with the hands up.
Okay, but this is a new month, July. This is a new photo. Yeah, I will come. So, everyone, we're going to take a nice photo. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Ta-da! Come on, everybody, do it with me. Do we have a tea outside for us? Yeah, we have tea. To get the tea, please do this. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Good. So I will sit here and then let's do one together. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Ta-da! One more. 1, 2, 3, go. Good. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you around. Thank you.
Thank you, Afif, for the enlightening talk on identifying our uniqueness and strengths and the importance of being resourceful with challenges to develop ourselves and others in creating a growth environment. Moving on with today's agenda, on behalf of the President's Office and Civil Service Training Institute, we would like to present a token of appreciation to the facilitator, Hussein Afif, for his contribution through this lecture and the never-ending support extended towards people development. I now request Civil Service Commission member Fatmat Amira to award the token to our facilitator. Madam Fatmat Amira. Thank you. Now, before concluding this session, I would like to announce the presentation of a surprise gift from MOP for 4 lucky members of our audience. Okay, I would like to call upon Afif to present the gift to our 4 lucky members. What's the number?
59.
That's upside down.
Huh? So upside down?
Flip it.
You sure?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's 65.
Yes. Nasha Adil from Family Protection Authority.
Nasha is here? She's here.
Take it here. What's it? Okay.
Do you read? You can read and pass it to someone else.
This lucky draw winners are selected from those who have registered when you entered this auditorium. So the next number is, 39. All right. Guresha Ismail from MACL.
This time, let's see whose number is this. What is this?
86.
86?
Or 98. 86. Oh, okay. Mohammad Hamdoun from Dauro.
You know, I personally chose these books for these podiums. So, yeah, let's give you a round of applause. Pass it to someone else after you finish reading. Last
Now,
one.
for the last lucky number, 4. Okay. Hussein Shahid from Maldives Police Service.
Stop until I finish reading. You will love it.
Thank you, Afif. This brings us to the end of today's session. Just a gentle reminder that we have sent the links to the feedback form of today's session via SMS. So we do request all attendees to submit their feedback as soon as possible. If you have not received it yet, if there's a slight delay, you will still receive it by the end of today. Once again, thank you, Afif, for the wonderful session, and sincere gratitude to Madam Fatma Tamira for her presence and support extended towards the EEEP initiative. Finally, thank you to our attendees for your time and participation. We hope to see you all at our next EEP session. Please use the door to your right to exit the auditorium, where refreshments will be served outside. Thank you and enjoy your day.